Good evening. I'm Anitha, Assistant Professor in the Department of Artificial Intelligence and Data Science. Now we are discussing about the topic cluster analysis, which is a group discussion with our students. Let's start the session. First, coming to cluster analysis, what is cluster analysis? Cluster analysis is often used as a pre-processing step for various machine learning algorithms, and it runs cluster analysis on an extensive data set to filter out data that belong to obvious groups. Advanced data classification techniques can then be used on the reduced non-obvious data points, and cluster analysis is the process to find similar groups of objects in order to form clusters. It is an unsupervised machine learning algorithm that act as unlabeled data. A group of data point would compresses together to form a cluster in which all these objects would belong to the same group. The given data is divided into different groups by combining similar objects into groups. This group is nothing but a cluster. A cluster is nothing but a collections of similar data which is grouped together. For example, datasets of vehicle given in which it contains information about different vehicles like car, buses, bicycle, etc. As it is unsupervised, there are no class labels like cars, bikes, etc. for all the vehicles. All the data is combined and it is not in a structured manner. Next, some of the properties of clustering are clustering scalability, high dimensionality, algorithm usability with multiple data kinds. Nowadays, there is a vast amount of data and should be dealing with huge databases in order to handle extensive databases. The clustering algorithm should be scalable. Data should be scalable. If it is not scalable, then we can't get the appropriate result, which would lead to wrong results. In high dimensionality, the algorithm should be able to handle high dimensional space along with the data of small sizes. Next, different kinds of data can be used with algorithms of clustering. It should be capable of dealing with different types of data like discrete, categorical, and interval based data, binary data, etc. Next, coming to applications of cluster analysis, it is used in image processing, data analysis, and pattern recognition, and also in marketers to find a distinct group in their customer base, and by using in purchase patterns, and in the field of biology and information discovery by classifying the development documents on the web. Some of the cluster analysis advantages are it's identify patterns and the relationship within a data set, and it's used for exploratory data analysis and to reduce the dimensionality of the data, and used for anomaly detections and outlier identification, used for market segmentations and customer profiling. And some of the disadvantages are it is sensitive to choice of initial conditions and number of clusters, and then sensitive to presence of noise or outliers in the data. It can be difficult to interpret the results of an analysis if the clusters are not well defined, and it is computationally expensive for large data sets, and analysis can be affected by the choice of clustering algorithm used. And important to note that the success of clustering analysis depends on the data, the goal of the analysis, and the ability of the analyst to the interpreter the results. And now starts with the student discussion.
Hello everyone, now I discuss about group discussion and cluster analysis. Myself Jaypriya, Dakshini and Divya. Clustering is also known as clustering. Is a method of data mining that groups similar data points together. The goal of cluster analysis divide data set into groups such that the data points with each other group more similar to each other than data points. The process is often used for exploratory data analysis and can help identify pattern or relationship with the data that may be immediately obvious. There are many different algorithms used for cluster analysis. K means hierarchical clustering and density based clustering. The choice of algorithm will depend on the specific requirement of analysis and nature of data being analyzed. Clustering analysis is the process to find similar group of projects in order to form cluster. In unsupervised machine learning based on algorithms that act as the unlabeled data, the group of data points would comprise together form cluster, in which all objects would belong to the same group. The data is divided into different groups by combining similar object into the group. The group is nothing but cluster. The cluster is known as collection of similar data which is used for group together. For example, consider a dataset of vehicle given in which contain information about different vehicles like car, bus, bicycles, etc. As it unsupervised machine learning, there are no class like car, bike, etc. For all vehicles, the data is combined and non-unstructured manner.
Now let's see about the properties of clustering. Clustering scalability. Nowadays there is a vast amount of data and should be dealing with huge databases. In order to handle extensive database, the clustering algorithm should be scalable. Data should be scalable. If not scalable, then we can't get the appropriate result. High dimensionality. The algorithm should be able to handle high dimensionality space along with the data of small size. Algorithm usability with multiple data kinds. Different kind of data can be used to algorithm of clustering. It should be capable of dealing with different types of data like discrete, categorical and interval-based data. Dealing with unstructured data, there should be some database that contain missing values, noisy or error data. If the algorithm is sensitive to such data, then it may lead to poor quality of the data. Interpretability. The clustering outcome should be interpretable, comprehensible and stable. The interpretably reflects how easy the data is understood.
Clustering method classified into 6 types. Partition method, hierarchical method, density based method, grid based method, model based method, constraint based method. Partition method. It is used to make partitions of the data in order to from cluster. If n partitions are done by p object of the database, then each partition is represented by the clusters. One object should only belongs to only one group. There should be no group without even a single purpose. Hierarchical method. In this method, hierarchical decompositions of the given set of data object is created. We can classify hierarchical method and will be able to know the purpose of classifications and the basics of how the hierarchical decompositions are formed. Application of clustering analysis. It is widely used in image processing, data analysis, pattern recognition. It will help marketers to find the distinct group in their customer base and the characterize their customer groups by using purchasing pattern. They can be used in field of biology and driving animal, plant, taxonomies, identify genes with the same capabilities. It also helps in information discovered by classifying document or web.
Advantages of clustering analysis. It can help identify patterns in relationship within a data that may be not immediately obvious. It can be used for exploratory data analysis and can help with feature selection. It can be used to reduce the dimensionality of the data. It can be used for anomaly detection and outlier identification. It can be used for marketing segmentation and customer proofing.
Disadvantages of cluster analysis. It can be sensitive to the choice of initial conditions and the number of clusters. It can be sensitive to the presence of noise or outlier of the data. It can be difficult to interrupt. The result of analysis is a cluster or well defined. It can be computational expensive for large data set. The result of analysis can be affected by the choice of clustering algorithm used. It is important to note that success of cluster analysis depends on the data, the goal of analysis, and the ability of analysis to interrupt the result.